الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على محمد وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين ومن اتبعهم بإحسان إلى يوم الدين أما بعد. To proceed, today's lesson بإذن الله تعالى, we will speak about the next section of numbers, which is 11 to 19. In our previous lesson we explained the rules relating to 1 to 10, so it makes sense therefore to complete the next section, particularly as there is a connection between the rules of the previous lesson and today's. So to begin, Al-adadu, which means, Ya Muhammad,
numbers.
Well, not, this is singular, al-mufradu, the number. So, 11, the one after, ashrun. 11 is?
Ashrun ahada, or is it?
Ahada. Ashara. 11 is ahada ashara. And 19 is tis'a
Ashara. No, it would be
ashara. Ahada ashara is 11 and tis'a ashara is 19. So what do we notice about ahad ashara and tis'a ashara?
I thought it would be an idafa, but it's not.
No, right. First of all, good. It's not an idafa construct. So it differs therefore with the rulings relating to 3 to 10, because now it's not an idafa construct. It comprises of two, what we call ismun, so asmani, two nouns. As you can see, both of them are mansubun, they end with a fatha, right? And they are fixed. So when we are doing the i'rabun, the grammatical analysis of these numbers, all of them except 12, because 12 has a slightly different rule, we will say that this is adadun, which you know means a number. Adadun mabniyun. Adadun mabniyun, fixed.
Mahalli?
Not mahalli, because
Nasbin.
no, it depends upon its position in the sentence.
Okay.
Adadun mabniyun ala fath على فتح الجزئين. This is the grammatical explanation of these two sets of asmani nouns, and that is that they are adadun, a number, mabniyun, fixed, meaning it doesn't alter, the ending doesn't change. Fixed upon what? Because remember, we always say what it's fixed upon. Mabniyun ala fathi, because you can see there is a fathi, isn't there? Ala fathil juz'aini. Juz'aini means the two parts.
So both of them have fatha.
So the two parts are fixed upon fathi. Right? As you can see, the end with a fatha. Now, that is how we're going to describe the numbers, right? But in terms of whether it's the fa'ilun or the maf'ulun bihi, remember, whether it's the fa'ilun or the maf'ulun bihi, then we will say, for example, fi mahalli raf'in fa'ilun, or fi mahalli nasbin maf'ulun bihi. So for example, if the fa'ilun is ahad ashara, like 12 men, right, then the 12 would be fi mahalli raf'in fa'ilun. And if the 12 was something, or rather, why am I saying 12? 11. If the 11 was something that I saw, then we would say fi mahalli nasbin maf'ulun bihi. But we're going to explain that in more detail in a moment. But the point to note first of all is that we say it is mabniyun adadun, a number mabniyun ala fathil juz'aini. Juz'aini means the two parts. Juz'un means one part, right? Juz'aini is two parts. This is in the majrurun state. If it was in the marfu'un state, it would be juz'ani. Right? We encounter that word juz'un all the time, don't we? What do we call the 30th part of Al-Quran?
Juz'ama.
Right. Juz'am. We call the 29th Juz'u Tabarak. So, we need to illustrate by way of example, as that's the easiest way to understand. Ahada ashara. Where do we encounter ahada ashara all the time? In Al-Quran.
11 brothers of Yusuf.
Right, good. The ayah in the beginning of Surah Yusuf. إذ قال يوسف لأبيه يا أبتي إني رأيت. He said إني رأيت أحد عشر كوكبا. Right? The ayah. إني رأيت أحد عشر كوكبا. So, رأيت. I saw. What is the i'rabun ya Muhammad of رأيت? It is? No. First of all, fi'lun madin. You know that much, right?
Oh yes, fi'lun madin.
Fi'lun madin mabniyun ala sukuni. Right? Fi'lun madin mabniyun ala sukuni litisalihi bitta'i al-fa'ili. Right? We call this the ta al-fa'il. That's the doer, isn't it? Ra'aytu, I saw.
No.
Right? I'll say that again. Fi'lun madin mabniyun ala sukuni, which you know.
Yes.
Litisalihi, for it is connected. Litisalihi bi ta'il fa'ili, with the ta of the doer. And the ta itself is damirun muttasilun mabniyun ala dhammi. Right? Damirun muttasilun مبني على الضم. That is رأيت. Then we have أحد عشر. What did we say أحد عشر is? عدد
عدد
مبني
مبني
على فتح الجزئين في. So now think about it. رأيت, I saw. What did I see? What did Yusuf عليه الصلاة والسلام see?
11.
11 كوكبا.
Planets.
Right. كوكبا. So what is the object? أحد عشر, isn't it? It's, he saw 12, right? The way that we describe it is that the object is 12. So remember we said that the number will occupy the mahal, the position of what it is in the sentence. So what is it? Why do I keep saying 12?
Yeah.
11. 11 is the object, right? So therefore we say that أحد عشر is, we say it is مبني, we say عدد, a number, مبني على فتح الجزئين في محل نصب.
Okay.
Because it's in the position of being mansubun, isn't it? Maf'ulun bihi, because it's a maf'ulun bihi. Right? So, this is fi mahalli nasbin أحد عشر. كوكبا means literally a star, but in today's language it's usually used to mean planet, right? So you say كوكب الأرض, planet Earth. But that ayah in Surah Yusuf, it relates to a star. The meaning is a star. Now note that the word, the ismun, that follows the number is always mufradun, and it is always mansubun. So it's always singular and mansubun. Right?
What's mufradun again, sorry?
Singular
Singular.
and mansubun here.
No matter how many you're describing.
No.
So if I say...
No, remember, because we said that the counted ismun is always a singular after
the
10.
After 10, okay.
Before 10, it's plural.
Okay.
Isn't it? From 3 to 10.
The ashara kitaban.
Yes. And this is called, this term is called tamyizun. Tamyizun, which means specification or particularizing something. Why? Because if we stop at this point and say رأيت أحد عشر, I saw 11, what would you ask next?
What? 11?
11 what, right? That would be the next logical question. 11 what? So when we say كوكبا, stars, even though it's singular, what we're doing is specifying tamyizun of what the 11 relates to. Right? That clear?
Yeah.
So, to note therefore, what's important is أحد عشر, 11 is our maf'ulun bihi, because it's the thing that I saw. So we say it is عدد مبني على فتح الجزئين في محل نصب مفعول به. Right here, Muhammad. And رأيت, you know, as I saw. And كوكبا, or whatever that word represents in terms of its relationship with the number, then that will be the tamyizun. So if we wanted therefore to use the other word which is commonly used for star, and najmun, we would say, if we want to say ra'ayna, now the female version of أحد عشر is إحدى عشرة نجمة. Now, even though I said najmun earlier on, because the number is now female, right, the word which is counted must also be female, although that's backwards, because if you're counting a female word, you would use a female number. We're counting a male word here, planet, kawkabun, so therefore we use the male number.
What
right?
if it doesn't have a female?
Then you would use the male number.
Okay.
Right? So first of all, you're concerned with what word am I counting? If you're counting a male word, use the male number. If you're counting a female word, use the female number. Now 11 is easy. Why? Because in 11, the two parts of the number are the same gender as the word you're counting. And the fact that I said that indicates what?
It's going to change.
That later on it changes. So relax and be content that for 11 it's simple. Right? So ihda is the female version of ahada. Ashrata is the female version of ashara. I noticed that in our previous lesson there was a mistake which is commonly made, and that is that when it's 10 outside of this construct, i.e. just 10 and not 11 up until 19, then it's asharata or asharatun in the default state. There's a fatha, asharatun, not asharata, even though there is a difference in spelling, but remember that. Similarly here, it's not ashara, it's ashara, right? Whereas in 10 that we saw in our previous lesson, it was ashrun. So this is 11. 11 is simple. As I said, both parts of the number are in agreement with the counted noun in gender. Right? Similarly, both parts of the number are mabniyun. They're fixed. They don't change. So here it's the fi mahalli nasbin maf'ulun bihi, right? Well, what if this was the fa'ilun? We want to say 11 students attended the lesson.
Nadara.
Hadara. Hadara.
أحد أحد عشر.
No, remember, it is مبني على الفتح.
So it stays.
It stays in this form.
Okay, so it's أحد.
مبني على فتح الجزئين. حضر أحد عشر
طالبا
طالبا
وطالبا.
الدرس حضر أحد عشر طالبا الدرس. So now أحد عشر is, remember, it's right. So حضر is فعل ماض مبني على الفتح. أحد عشر is عدد مبني على فتح الجزئين في محل رفع فاعل. Right? We almost did that, Imam Muhammad. في محل رفع فاعل. طالبا is what?
It's
It's اسم منصوب أو تمييز منصوب وعلامة نسبه تنوين الفتح. Right? And then الدرس is
it not صفة of no.
No, يا محمد. It's the مفعول به.
What طالب not?
No. No, طالبا is not. طالبا is تمييز of أحد عشر.
Oh, okay, it's explaining the level. What's it?
Yes, it explains what 11 is. It's a darsa, which is the
مفعول به, because that's what they attended.
Yes, good. And if we were to mention the female equivalent of this, it would be حضرت إحدى عشرة الدرس. Right? So now we've mentioned the female فعل, the female تمييز, and الدرس remains the same. But the point to note is إحدى عشرة here is في محل رفع فاعل. And the third and final form that it could be in is if it's في محل جر. Right? مررت. Shouldn't be a shadda on the first ura. مررت. I passed. مررت بأحد عشر طالبا.
Say the same.
مررت, I passed by. مررت, it is followed by B, حرف جر. Therefore we have جار. So أحد عشر is now?
اسم جار.
Right. It's still عدد مبني على فتح الجزئين في محل رفع.
But how would you be able to, apart from if you know which letter comes before it, you wouldn't really be able to tell what condition it is in, is it?
Sorry?
Yeah. I
just realised the shadda should be on the first ra, not the second one. Aye. مرر مررت, I passed by. بأحد عشر طالبا. Right, what was your question, Muhammad?
So in all three states, it stays.
Yes, it's a مبني على فتح الجزئين. It's the second part, either في محل رفع أو في محل نصب أو في محل جر.
Got it.
Right? So as I said, أحد عشر and إحدى عشرة are straightforward.
Fixed. They're never changing.
They never change.
Can you make that into a idafa by any chance?
What? أحد عشرة?
Yeah. Like if it becomes part of a... It wouldn't, would it? Because the number always comes first in 11.
No, but you couldn't make it into an idafa because it's not an idafa. What you can't remember, you can only connect one ism to another in order to make an idafatun. This, even though it's two parts, it's considered to be one. And what follows it, if you are trying to explain what the number refers to, then you're going to have tamyiz on here. So what are you trying to connect it to? And for what purpose? Remember, the idafatun is of particular types, isn't it? It's either used to express ownership, kitabullahi, or it's used to describe two nouns that are closely related, that affect one another. For example, aklul hadidi, eating the iron. So, or a description, tawilul qamati, meaning being tall. But you wouldn't form an idafa unless there was a reason to do so. Here, there's no reason to do it because the rules that govern 11 to 19 are distinct from those that govern 3 to 10. So, after أحد عشر we have
اثنان عشر.
إثنا عشرة. Right? إثنا عشرة. Right? Like in the ayah, إن عدة الشهور. I'll have to move إثنا عشرة to make room. إن عدة الشهور عند الله إثنا عشر شهرا. This ayah in Surah At-Tawbah. إن عدة الشهور عند الله إثنا عشر شهرا, which means indeed, عدة, number, another word for number. الشهور, months, عند الله, with Allah, إثنا عشر شهرا في كتاب الله يوم خلق السماوات والأرض. So, inna harfun mushabbihun bil fi'li. Inna means indeed. What does inna do? Or has two parts. Ismu inna and khabaru inna. Ismu inna, what does inna do to ismu inna? Tansibu al-isma, makes it mansoob. Iddata. So, indeed, number. Here we have an
Ismu inna.
This is ismu inna, this is idafa. So, ash-shahuri is? Shahuri. Inna iddat ash-shahuri inda. What does inda mean? With what type of word is it? Dharful makani. Inda Allahi, and that's an idafa. Right, so we have Ithna ashara shahran. So, Ya Muhammad, Inna enters upon تدخل على جملة الإسمية والجملة الإسمية تتكون من الاسم والخبر المبتدأ والخبر. So, what is al-mubtada'u? Idda. The mubtada'u is idda, number. Right? So, if idda ta is al-mubtada', what is al-khabar? Think. What is going to be al-khabar? What's the information connected to number? It's not that difficult actually when you think about it.
Khabru is going to be 12 months.
Excellent, Ya Muhammad. I like that. It's ithna. It is ithna. Right? Al-khabaru is ithna. I know it might seem as though it should be ithna ashara. But in terms of i'rabun, the ismu inna is iddata and the khabaru inna is ithna. Right? Ashara is just an ism which is mabaniyun ala al-fathi. Right? And shahran is the
explanation.
Tamyizun. Right? But the point to note is ithna ashara, which is 12, is fi mahalli. Sorry, ithna is
Adam.
fi mahalli. It's not fi mahalli actually. It is. Ithna is.
Rafin. No.
It is al-khabaru. It's al-khabaru. Wa alamatu raf'ihi al-alif. Because it's al-muthanna. Right? Ithna is al-muthanna. Right?
Yeah.
So, but there's no noon on. The noon isn't there. We don't say ithnani, do we? Two is what? Ithnani. Qalamani, kitabani, ithnani. So there's no noon there. But remember, alamatu raf'ihi al-alif. Alamatu raf'ihi al-alif. Right? Is that clear? So here, in this instance, unlike 11, we don't say في محل رفع. Why? Because it's لفظيا. The indicator علامة رفعه is الألف. Here.
So alif takes the position of a marfu'.
Of the dhamma.
Of the dhamma, yeah.
What ordinarily would be a dhamma on an ism which is mufradun. Here it's the alif. Just like in any normal dual. Here. Kitabani. If I asked you, what is alamatu raf'ihi? It's the alif, not anything else.
Yeah.
It's the alif. Why? Because that's the rule for al-muthanna. Right? So, if that is the... Remember, there's only two forms of the dual. There's ithnani and ithnaini. Ithnani, the indicator of it being marfu'un is the alif. And ithnaini, the indicator of it being mansubun and majrurun is the ya. Right?
So that's another rule with 12.
Yes, but this is 2. This rule is the same, isn't it, for the number 2? Right? So for 12, it is ithnay. When I say for 12, I mean when it's in the mansubun and the majrurun state. Ithnay ashara naqiban. Why are we mentioning naqiban? Because of the ayah in Surah Al-Ma'idah. وَلَقَدْ أَخَذَ اللَّهُ مِيثَاقَ بَنِي إِسْرَائِيلَ وَبَعَثْنَا مِنْهُمْ وَبَعَثْنَا مِنْهُمْ اثني عشر نقيبة.
12 springs.
Naqib, no, that's not a spring. Naqib, Naqibun means a leader, as in the leader of a tribe. Right? وَبَعَثْنَا,
So we gave.
we sent.
Sent.
Minhum, from them, like the Israelites. What did we send? So ithnay is going to be the... What is ithnay? The mafulun bihi, ya Muhammad. وَبَعَثْنَا مِنْهُمْ إِثْنَيْ عَشَرَ نَقِيبًا. Right? So بَعَثْنَا is فعل ماض مبني على السكون لاتصال بنا, because it's connected to na, therefore it must be مبني على السكون, right? منهم is جار ومجرور. جار حرف جر, and the ismun which is majrurun that follows it. In this instance, it is ضمير متصل مبني على السكون في محل جر. What did Allah Azza wa Jalla send amongst them? Ithnay. So ithnay is the مفعول به وعلامة نصبه الياء. This is fixed upon al-fathi, mabniun al-fathi, and as they say لا محل له من الإعراب. It has no position. So it's neither مرفوع no منصوب no مجرور.
Will this be the same for like if you want to say 21 or 31 or 32, sorry?
Yes.
The same.
نقيبا is the تمييز which is منصوب وعلامة نصبه تنوين الفتح. But the point to note is that we've got two forms of male 12. We've got إثنى عشرة and we have إثني عشرة. We have إثنى عشرة and إثني عشرة. The difference between them is إثنى is the مرفوع state and إثني is the مجرور and the منصوب state. Right? Is that clear?
Yeah, so the female ones are...
We're going to do them next. So that's the male. The female ones are... Well, what's two? What's the female two?
Islam.
No. Ithna Tani. So remember, we drop the noon. We drop the noon when it's 12. So it's Ithna Ta. Ithna Ta. And in the mansubun and the majrurun state, it would be Ithna Tay. Ithna Tay. So Ithnata Ashrata and Ithnatay Asharata, as in the ayah in Surah Al-Baqarah. وَإِذِ اسْتَسْقَى مُوسَى لِقَوْمِهِ فَقُلْنَا اضْرِبْ بِعَصَاكَ الْحَجَرَ. Remember when Musa alayhi salam sought water for his people? فَقُلْنَا اضْرِبْ. So we said, strike bi'asak, with your staff. Al-hajra, the stone. So what happened? فَانْفَجَرَتْ. فَانْفَجَرَتْ منه فجرت منه اثنتا عشرة عينا. And fajra means
poured forth,
exploded. From it اثنتا عشرة عينا. So here انفجرت is the
file.
The fa'il. It's the fi'lun.
Fi'lun, sorry.
فعل مبني على الفتح right لاتصال بتاء التأنيث. Right, this ta with the sukoon is called تاء التأنيث. Right, لاتصال بتاء التأنيث منه is جار ومجرور.